Ponytails podcast. Here we go. What's going on, everyone? Andre Scambo here, and with another episode of the Ponytails podcast. Thank you for listening. If this is your first episode, welcome. Thanks for being here. Let me tell you a little bit about what we do and what the whole show is about. It's kind of crazy. We interview people who sold books to help families with homework, door to door, during college and their summer job. So if you don't believe me, if you've done this, you already know what this is about. But if you don't know, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a company called Southwestern Advantage. We're not affiliated with them in any way, other than the fact that myself and all our guests have done this internship with them. And they have been around since like 1855 or something like that. They recruited college kids every summer since then. And that's built this giant alumni base of this internship program that they offer. It's a sales internship program. And we go door to door for like 80 hours a week selling these books all over the country. And there are students that come even from Europe. We've had European students on here before who share their experience. And that's what we do. We just ask people what they're up to now and how that experience shaped them for the better, for the worse, all around. And it's been an amazing ride so far. We've been around for like a year and a half now, almost 2 years coming up. And we've had some amazing guests with some really, really cool stories. People have met on here, gotten married. People have found a passion for all sorts of different things through this thing. And some people, not such hot of an experience. And we've had them share that as well. So hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for being here. Our guest today is Mr. Nate Foss, who was recommended by previous guests to be on the show. We don't do much research about our guests beforehand because we believe in the organic conversation that comes from it, and hopefully you guys enjoy that as well. But a little bit of information about Nate, so you're kind of familiar with him. So he sold for 6 summers from 2005 to 2010. He was part of the Eagle Blitz organization, went to Texas State University, originally from Arlington, Texas, but currently living in Austin. If you want to reach him, you can reach him at natefoss4, like the number 4, at gmail.com. You can see this if you're watching along. If you're just listening, that's okay. It's Nate Foss, S4 at gmail.com. It's on the screen there if you're watching along, for sure. And we've been asking everybody their favorite scroll. He had a toss-up, but his favorite scroll is number 1, the first scroll in the Augmendino book. Today, I begin a new life. So here he is with us, Nate Foss. Everybody, what up, baby?
What up, Andres?
How's it going,
man? I'm excited. You're doing a great job. You're doing God's work.
I don't know about that, but thank you for the compliment. It makes me feel good.
Yeah, anytime.
Maybe not as good as this tequila might make us feel, but
let's do it.
I'm gonna pour some tequila in here before we get started.
You know who recommended me for this podcast, right?
Was it Jessica?
It was Mark Rao.
Are you serious?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? I believe it too. I don't even know if Mark Rao knows that we exist.
Oh, absolutely. I still connect with Rao. Oh, you're talking about ponytails.
Yeah.
Well, he should. We should
let him know.
Dude,
you'll have to share this with him.
He would be the ultimate. His pod, he wouldn't break eye contact the entire time.
That's very accurate. He'd be like, you know what this is? You're just like, he's an intense guy, but not that intense. He's like, I don't know. It's just such an interesting
he's the man. I loved Rao, man. He got me fired up.
Tell you what, any guy that sold books. I mean, and it's funny because Mark Rao, I feel like in general, it's fair to say he's divisive in some ways. You could say it that way. And it's regardless of how or what the perspective is, the dude, you have to have so much respect for who he is as a person overall, right? Like anybody like him and Ron Alford, people like that who have like such consistency of excellence or performance at like a particularly high level, you're just like, I mean, it's kind of like LeBron James, right? You're like, I don't know, you might like or hate him, but like at the end of the day, you respect that level of greatness in someone.
Disciplined, man. You never see him like sloppy. You know, he's consistent. He's exactly who he comes across that he is. So
yes.
yeah.
But stud,
Man. Stud. I mean, he could be, see, Texas Staters, and I heard Mitchell, Stefan, shout out Mitchell. I heard him, tossing the shade towards Texas State. Yeah, I sold with Texas State, and not a lot of people know this, but they have an 8-week summer. They sell 12 weeks, but they really only sell 8 weeks, something like that. Yeah, boo. But
I
anyway,
take the side of the guest every time. So since Mitchell's not here, sorry, bro.
Well, I'm gonna hopefully shed some light on Texas State. Are you familiar with Texas State? Do you know much about Texas State University?
I have no idea.
They call it the Harvard in the Hills, Harvard in the Hill Country.
Here we go.
In Texas State. I mean, there's Ivy League colleges that are easier to get into than Texas State statistically. And short story. I don't want to kick this off, but Mitchell came. He called me. I think it was after his 3rd summer. He called me. He wanted to visit Texas State. He wanted to come down to San Marcos, and I was like, "Yeah, come on." He's like, "I want to do a college visit." He was at A&M. Tons of Aggies. Quintin and Lackey, and you've had a whole bunch of Aggies on here. Anyways, long story short, he comes into San Marcos. I take him around, take him up to Alkek. We're walking through the quad. I take him down to the river. He's swimming in the river, man. He's like, "This is the greatest day of my life." And he goes, I'm transferring today to Texas State. I want to come be in your orgs. Couldn't get in. Declined. Didn't have the grades.
He's not here to verify, so let's just assume. I'm going to assume this is
all right.
right.
I made that up. Cheers, Mitchell. Mitchell was my co-OL one summer, so we're starkly different, but we got along swimmingly.
Dude, Mitchell's a different character. Like, I've never met someone so negative be so good at books.
Yeah, no, he's great. No, it's
awesome.
It's awesome. No, I've enjoyed these podcasts, man. There was a couple that I just found out about you about a month ago or so, and I've annihilated like half dozen, maybe a baker's dozen of these. So it's brought back a ton of memories. Total rush of blood to the head. So excited, man.
Glad that you're a fan. Speaking of Quintin, I want to give him a quick shout out there. One of our partners here on the show. And hey, he's up into insurance sales. Of course, you already know that he's working with Cardinal Senior Benefits. But we've asked all our partners to give us some advice about their industry. And so here's his advice on the insurance industry, or really when looking for a new position. Make sure to look at the culture, the mentors and the management, the overall performance of the group. People fall in love in the insurance industry because they don't have a good grasp on their money. Most social/relational issues in life are due to financial struggles. So when you join a job, you should see it as something that you marry, which I thought was really sound advice, because he's someone who is a very committed person, as you probably know really, really well. You were telling me,
stud.
Yeah, he's a stud of studs.
Yeah.
You were telling me you just gave your book away to a friend, or your is it your sister-in-law?
Yeah, no, my wife's little sister. So she has been bartending in Austin, and I have been kind of nudging her to go and try to find a sales job. And one of my friends, Duran, works at a insurance company here in Texas, and she got on, and she's like a month in, and she's killing it. She's already signing deals, and I gave her my actually a couple sales books, but I gave her the what is it? The greatest salesman. Yeah. Such a great dude. I revisit it all the time. I mean, if you ever need just like a slap in the face, like a mental cold shower, that book gets you going, dude.
It's so good. Oh, it's so good, man. Well, thanks for being here. Let's jump in. We'll give some more shout outs throughout the episode. We're sprinkling them throughout, so that way people can enjoy them one bite at a time. But let's jump in right into this thing. Again, I have no idea about what you're up to nowadays. So 2010, this was 12 years ago. Can you believe that? How crazy. So let's wind the clock back to 2012, and you're getting done with Southwestern. Where the heck did you do and catch us up for the last 12 years of your life?
2010 was my last summer. That was in Iowa. And I felt like I ended on a high note. I thought it wasn't a fantastic summer, but It was pretty good. It was like 6,000 units. The org did pretty good. And I had the whole summer, I had planned on backpacking through Europe in the fall. I was like, I'm going to go backpack through Europe. My sister even got me like a backpack. And then Fish announced a pretty extensive fall tour. So I ended up just going and following Fish in the fall and did a whole bunch of their concerts. And I ended up in Charleston. One of my friends, Michael Berman, goes, "Hey, you should meet up with my boss, who's the SVP of sales at Open Table. He's at this show. He's an old Grateful Dead guy. He loves Fish. Seen Grateful Dead like 200 times." I was like, "I'll meet up with him." I met up with him. His name's John Martin, tall, lanky, gregarious guy, and he's like, "You should come work for Open Table." I was like, "I'm kind of like maybe going back and selling books another summer." And he flew me out to San Francisco, and then I started working with Open Table. And so I right after I graduated, I had like one class left, and then I started working with Open Table, and then did that for about a year, and then just kind of I went and I was recruited. Oh man, I totally forgot about this. One of your fellow guests, Eliav Cohen, my homie Eliav. Yeah. Shout out to Seattle Hot Air Ballooning or whatever it's called.
And
Total
AI.
star. Love that guy.
He's a stud.
Eliav calls me, and he had just gotten a job with this company called ZocDoc that's now a unicorn startup. It's essentially Open Table for doctor's appointments. You can see who your doctor is, syncs in with their practice management system. You can book online. So they recruited me. I flew up to New York, and I started at ZocDoc and crushed it with there for a couple of years. And then I got recruited to my first. ZocDoc was insane, dude. Weekly quotas, like 4 doctors a week. If you missed 2 weeks in a row, you got fired. It was like super, super high pressure. And
Wow.
I literally got a buddy hired, and he was hired and fired within like 4 weeks. And rough. Yeah, they were like chopping. And then I think and put this as a footnote, but Patrick Dichter, who you might want to get Patrick Dichter on this, because Dichter would be a great guest. But Dichter, he essentially brought up an opportunity with a company called Rev Local. Are you familiar with them?
I am not.
You're not? This is like the Southwestern sister company that has no direct affiliation with Southwestern. So they're a digital marketing firm, and it's this guy, Mike, God, it's escaping me now, Mike Hawk, and his brother. They were old book guys, and they started this digital marketing agency, get people listed with local Google, and now they're pretty massive, and a whole bunch of book kids go and work for them. And so, is that ringing a bell now? They're out of Columbus.
Mike is ringing a bell, because there was a joke about him on the alumni page, and people thought he was a made up name, and he's like, no, he is like a stud, like a proper stud of studs.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, he brought like dial-up internet to the Midwest, and back when people were like signing up for internet, like on AOL CDs. And I have a really cool story about him, and just one of the kids in our org who knocked on his door, and then they let us do some Sunday meetings at their lake house and take their jet skis out. So I had a backstory with Mike Hawk for a while, and so I had like some really good rapport with them. They were building this thing, so I went and worked for Rev Local, and they were kind of small, kind of bootstrapped. We were like 5, 10, 20 people. It grew to like 50, 100. Now they're probably several 100 people, because I see some people that are still with them, and they're crushing it. They're doing really well. But
that's awesome.
I had just kind of stayed in some different kind of tech AE direct sale roles, no Southwestern sister companies. I had been recruited over and over again to go and talk to, different sister companies, because I was like a poster boy. I loved Southwestern, loved to evangelize about this company, knew everybody. Really, I mean, I loved everybody. I mean, Henry Bedford like flew me back out to Nashville, come stay at my house, trying to sell me on some of these sister companies, and just nothing was like a great fit. And I found another company. I mean, this is over 12 years. So every probably 2 or 3 years, I was kind of switching. I found a company, one of my fraternity brothers at Texas State, who had said, "Hey, I got this e-com fraud company called Ethica, recently been acquired by MasterCard, but he's like, hey, you should come work for us. So I was like, hey, I'm so tired of doing B2B and like driving around in my truck and dropping off cards and just doing the grind up and down I-35 that I want to do like an office job and see if I can start selling like the Amazons of the world, you know? So this was my like step into proper tech sales, right? Like, you know, inside sales, you know, I need to really, really sharpen my sword and learn a whole new thing, and crushed it with Ethica. They got acquired. Now I'm at a company called SpyCloud, and we do cybersecurity. So I switched to, your ears perked up. Do you know SpyCloud?
No, I think that's cybersecurity is just like exciting.
It's awesome, dude. It's the best company I've ever worked for. I freaking love it. I actually met the chief revenue officer golfing in San Marcos. Got paired up with him. We golfed all day. We're like drinking beers, and we start shooting the shit. And I'm like, dude, I would love to get into cybersecurity. I have a lot of experience in companies that have been right at your level, this like 5-10 million annual revenue that's about to blow up, just got like a Series B, and they didn't have anything, and I hounded them for like 6 months, dude. And I approached them. I put together like a PowerPoint presentation. I was like, these are the customers that I would sell, this is what I would do, blah blah blah. And
what everyone likes about the way I do business.
Yeah, seriously. And then finally got a job with them, and so I've been there about going on 3 years, and love it. So I'm like enterprise account executive for California. Now I'm North Central for SpyCloud, and I'm selling essentially kind of dark web data type play. Happy to tell you more about it, but
hell yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. I love this. One of the things I love about doing this is because I get to learn about some of the coolest industries around. Like yesterday, when was I recording? I was recording with Steve Herlihy, and he does like estate planning for like multi-millionaires. That was the last episode, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is that like? You know, because you're talking to a different crew. Now this is, I think you're the first cybersecurity person that I've had on the pod, and
good deal.
So excited. It's so exciting. So, but before we get into what you actually do and what that looks like, what the implications of this is, I wanted to ask you that was it odd? Because some people, it's good to have proper expectations. When you're in Southwestern, they tell you there's going to be companies at your feet begging you for your presence and knowledge, and it is true in some regards. You know what I'm saying? But here you are having to like sell yourself like every other person to get into this company, and they're like trying to like. Not, I mean, it's a 6-month process, whether it was a 6-month sale or it was a 3-month sale that just started, or whatever. Like, what did you do, or what part of your Southwestern experience were you able to like hone in on to kind of be able to land this position? Because I feel like there's other people, and when this airs, there's going to be people that are just leaving the book field who are going to be moving on, and I feel like this is a crucial.
Dude, hit me up. I will chat this out with you. And honestly, shout out to, what I would say is, I don't think directly Southwestern had some type of skill set that you take to go and get jobs outside of Southwestern. It's just not something they want to really teach, right? They want to keep it in the family and keep you there as long as possible, get you into a sister company, right? So there might be something that pops up just kind of organically where somebody has an outside company, but they used to sell books type thing. I would say find your friends that are really good at interviewing, know like emerging technology, like the Eliavs of the world, and really ask them, have conversations with them, or either over beers or call them for a couple hours and say like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. This is, how should I go about getting this job? How do I close an interview? Like, how do I follow up? Like, little things like that are so crucial to landing a job. Like, when you leave a conversation saying like, hey, now that you learn more about me, is there anything that you learned today that you think would disqualify me for this role? Or you think that I wouldn't be a good fit at all? Like closing it. And then if not, like, what's next steps? Like going through like a closing questions type thing for every single person that you talk to. And then following up and showing them that you can write a quality email that's succinct and executive speak, that's not too verbose, that just gets to the point, right? And so, it's just something that you got to learn. And it's just, I just did it luckily because I had some friends that were really good and they had already done it before me. And I just mooched off them. And I said, teach me, and so I think that's probably it. Not, I think like the skill set that you get from Southwestern is that you're incredibly hardworking. You have self-talk. You're motivated. You have amazing communication and people skills. You're going to be good at everything because you have these intangibles, right? Like my old DSM Wade Floyd was like, when you're getting pitched to come back, you're like, don't you wish your doctor had great bedside manner type thing? Like there's so much truth in that. Like if you took a Southwestern kid who was charismatic and you put him in a tech role where he's selling to information security officer people, like, they're just not used to somebody who, is good, who knows how to build rapport, who knows how to kind of plan out what the next steps are of this stuff. And so, who actually does like quick, succinct introductions to build value with the company. And like, so there's all these different things. You can take your Southwestern sales talk and just repurpose it to whatever you're selling in really anything, like, tech sales or anything. And that's what I would say is like, use those intangibles that you learn, but just mutate that into whatever industry or field that you want to go into.
Oh, that's great. That's really good sound advice. Cause it's when some companies do tell you, come here, please work for us. And that does happen, but sometimes you have to really sell yourself and learn how to do that. And that's not something that's like you said, you have to learn, right? You have to like really understand how to apply that and translate.
You got to be pleasantly persistent too. I mean,
that's right, baby.
How many people after golf would have been like, they're like, hey, follow up with me, would have A, never followed up, or B, when they're like, hey, we don't have anything for you, would have just been like, okay, well, shit, that opportunity's done, right?
There it goes.
Not like, keep going back to that house that is like a perfect fit that you've gotten a bunch of pre-approach for, type thing. You're like, dude, I'm a perfect fit for this. My conviction's here. I will crush it for you because I will work my ass off. Like I'll learn it. Just put me in there. And, it's like book kid, dude. You throw a kid into freaking Central Kentucky, tell them where, say, hey, go find a place to live and go sell a bunch of books. Like you can do it with whatever.
Yeah. Just give me a jersey. I'll play. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that's legit. Okay, so that's really sound advice. Actually, I'm glad you showed this and again, if people want to get a hold of you, maybe pick your brain specifically for something, you're more than welcome to. NateFoss4@gmail.com. It's on the screen again. If they want to pick your brain about how to do this.
Absolutely.
But okay, so walk me through like what have you learned? So what year did you start? And Spy Cloud. And I can't.
Spy Cloud. Yeah, you can go to.
I want to say Cam for some reason.
You can go to spycloud.com, even if you're not a business, and you can see where your information is found in the deep and dark web. So essentially we're using like security researchers to recover third-party data breaches, different like malware, botnet families. We have this large data lake of compromised creds, and our customers, like the Apples, Amazons, Googles, Netflix of the world, leverage this data to essentially disrupt criminals' ability to profit from it, either by taking over your account, stealing your Netflix account, making banking transactions with your credentials, that type stuff. So yeah, it's super cool. It's a really niche area of cybersecurity, but go to Spy Cloud in the top right corner. I can't really see because the Ponytails podcast, you can sign up, you can enter your email, and then you can see where, just as a normal consumer, not that one. Go to check your exposure, maybe in the top right. See if, enter your email address, and don't do this when you're sharing because you might see, you're going to see your passwords and things like that. But essentially, it's helping people know what email password combos and what PII has been exposed through like TransUnion breaches or through different third-party data breaches. So you're not using that information to set up different accounts. Or you can, there's a number of different kind of use cases for it. But long story short, man, just a super cool company, Austin-based, epic cybersecurity startup. Love the founders. Office is on South Congress. Like, that's just, I feel so lucky that I found this company and we're killing it. And so, yeah, I mean, it's really cool. And I've learned a bunch, but yeah, I mean, it was a whole bunch that led to this opportunity, and grinding it out with different sales roles and getting experience. But yeah, it's been awesome.
That's
So yeah, I
that's
mean,
badass, dude.
yeah, I mean, I love where I'm at now. Like I was watching the episode with some of the like top first years, and there was some like Texas boys in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, like, hit me up. Like, you'd be a great fit. Like, I know a lot of people like to stay in the family in Southwestern, but if anybody ever has a nudge and they want to get out, even if it's not getting into cybersecurity or tech sales or whatever, and you just want to talk to a book guy who has gone out and has departed from that, then feel free to hit me up. Always happy to chat.
Hell yeah. That's sweet, dude. So okay, so let me. I'm so curious about all this. Do you mind if I ask you some questions?
Yeah, come on, man.
That's why we're here, right? So who's your ideal person? Like what? Like I mean, everybody really, but like specifically, is there like is it small business owners? Is it individual consumers? Like who's your perfect person to come to you about your services, and who's your perfect person? I'll ask a follow up later.
Yeah, I mean, it's the larger the better. Really large companies, so 50,000 plus employee, kind of Fortune 100 type is kind of what I focus on right now. So either you have a lot of consumers, so think like large gaming industry, streaming platforms, airlines, healthcare, financial services, cryptocurrency banks, things like that. Or you have information that's really sensitive in your internet accounts, right? So if I got andres.gamboa at hotmail.com, or you're probably still on like Alta Vista or what?
I do have a Hotmail account from
Yeah, I know you did. I knew it. I can tell. But if you're using that credential and it's been exposed, any credential email password combo that you're logging into a site that would have really sensitive information, like for instance, you're about to buy a house and your mortgage website or your banking, anything like that, those companies proactively protect those accounts, and they will query our database to see if your email password combo has been compromised. And if so, they'll send you an email that says, hey, we found this email password combo floating around in the dark web. We want you to update your password. Or if you ever got a notice from your bank and you see like, you're like, what the hell? Like somebody went on Wayfair and bought like a mattress with my account. Somebody got into my account. So that's the type of fraud that we're looking to prevent. We find email password combos, and then if that email password combo matches other accounts, they'll ask you to change it because it's out there, right? And everybody has like 2 or 3 passwords that they use, and they switch it up. They'll add like an exclamation mark or like change the year, but it's like your dog or your boyfriend or your daughter or your wife.
Mine's my boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So because of that, it's that type of fraud. We do a whole bunch of other
stuff.
Don't
tell my wife.
We work with a lot of like 3-letter agencies, and we do like crazy investigatory stuff. But
that's wild. Yeah. Wow, yeah. That's so cool. What do you think has shocked you the most being in this industry? Because like, when did you start with?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So in the last 3 years, what's blown your mind the most? You're like, I can't believe this is a thing.
Dude, it's honestly just like the timing and the fact that this is probably the most, it's in my opinion, one of the most important industries on the planet right now. Like if you look at the pandemic and everybody working from home and using their own devices and logging into their work machines, it creates a lot of risk. If you look at, Russia and China are adversaries who do like nation state cyber reconnaissance and who put the pressure on our pipelines and our manufacturing, all that is stuff that we mitigate against. So it's just, it's a cool, interesting industry that keeps me excited to like keep learning about it. But I'm dealing with people who have been in cybersecurity for 20, plus years. And I'm a guy who had some e-commerce fraud experience for a handful of years, but who's relatively new to this. So I treat it like a book guy, and, I really try to be a student of the game and make sure that, I'm learning everything, because I have to be a total expert. I don't have like, I can't just be like, I've been in the industry for 20 years, listen to me and buy this type stuff. I just don't have that clout.
Right.
So yeah, you just got to be a student of the game and work hard, honestly. But dude, I mean, it's the same as anything you're doing, right? It's like activity leads to sales. It's like, is your head in the ball game? Do you get up? Do you set intentions for the day? Do you know exactly what you're going to do? Like, it's just how focused and how hard you work, really. I mean, it's essentially with anything.
Yeah. And what's your goal? Like, what's your goal with, like, in 10 years, where do you want to be, or 5 years? What does that look like for you within the space?
It used to be, good question. And who knows? I have a 2-year-old daughter now, about to be 2-year-old. So
Congrats.
thanks, man. I'm married, and I like the individual contributor account executive. Like, I kind of like where I'm at right now. I don't have to manage people. I just have to focus on going out and selling logos and hitting my number. And, I can just be a single track mind on this. One of the things that I struggled with in Southwestern was balancing sales and then trying to recruit. I was never like a super strong recruiter. I had 1 year where luckily I just recruited a bunch of friends that killed it, and I was like number 3 in school. But I mean, my DSMs, Wade Floyd, and all them are like, you gotta recruit more, and I had a really hard time being like super balanced between manager, recruiter, and sales, man. So I like that I'm in an area now where I can just do one.
Yeah.
It takes a total stud to be really, really good at that. Like in Southwestern, it takes a different breed to be able to like sell 10,000 units and bring like a 10-person team. Like, dude, that's tough.
Yeah. Or even if you get both, if you sell the 7,000 units and then you're bringing the 10% team, for that team to do well, because there's some people who like brought out 10, but it was like 10 zombies, or it was like they came to just travel, see the
Exactly. Yeah. You can tell like your squad at sales school, they're like struggle bussing up the hill. Like the one kid gets lost. Yeah. One kid's got overalls.
Yeah. I saw a kid wearing flip flops one time trying to run up the hill. I'm like, what are you? Who trained you, dude? What are you doing with flip flops?
Were you like chopping up the hill? Like when you were at sales school? Were you
I was fucking
like, let's
running, man. That was Forrest Gump.
Were you too cool for school?
Oh no. I've never had a cool card. I was like, fuck it. Well, because I don't know if you know much about how I got into Southwestern. I've shared on the show before, but I was it's been a minute. So long story short, I got recruited the Wednesday before sales school. That's it. The guy that recruited me had just done the one summer, and I had been in sales like in retail for a while. And he's like, I made $17,000 last year. And in my head, I'm like, if that guy made 17, I can make 10 with some sales experience.
Totally.
But because I was so late in the game, I remember the only thought I had was just to be like, if they tell me to run, if they tell me to stand, if they tell me to sit, to jump, to whatever the fuck they say to do, I'm gonna just do that, because what the hell do I know? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything. I knew there was kids who were there that had all their sales talks memorized and all this. They had all the things. This guy's gonna be the greatest, and this person, she's gonna be amazing. I was like, I can't compete with that. So I can only be as coachable as possible. And so when they said run up the hill, I ran. When they said do the exact dances and do the crazy slippery salmon dance or whatever the fuck, I was doing that all day.
Banana. Yeah.
Yes, I forgot about that. Such a good one.
Like at sales school, they give you all the cheese dick ones. Pardon my language, but like they give you all like we'll give you the universal execs. Like Texas State, our orgs, they got progressively darker and more obscure. Like especially the
as the summer went on.
Summer, as you do, right? But no, dude,
I got darker too, but
I mean that might have been a blessing in disguise, right? Because you don't really know, like you're just like I got recruited pretty late too, pretty late into my freshman year, and so I didn't know my sales talk, but it was kind of the exact same boat, dude. I was like, my pledge brother Manny did this, and Derek Matiza did it. Matiza made 17 grand. I was like, I wonder if that's why he has that $8,000 fucking four-wheeler. And I was like, all right, dude, I need the money like big time. And I was like, yeah, if they can do it, I can do it. And then, you know, I was just like, dude, I'll chop it up the hill too. I'll get into this stuff. I was hook, line, and
Yeah.
sinker, dude. Like right from the get go, I loved it. You know, I went to like
And-
a raw high school. I was playing soccer. It's like, you know, I was always like, you know, I was like the perfect fit for this thing. So
soccer, yes, I'm glad you're a soccer fan. Oh, how exciting!
Austin
Steve,
FC, baby, second in MLS. Chelsea,
that's
we're
hilarious.
too.
First of all, you're gonna have to talk to Steve Hurley. Last episode, he's a huge Atlanta United fan.
Yeah.
Huge Atlanta United fan. Yeah, he says, you know, I'll connect you guys so you
Yeah,
guys
man,
can talk some.
has been, bro. Oh no, I'm just
So you
kidding.
guys can talk some. Hey, listen, I've become a Timbers fan living in Portland, so
That's
you
good.
know,
That's good. Portland's
let's go.
awesome, man. We got season tickets. We got season tickets last year. We were terrible. We got the same seats this year, so we go to all the games, and yeah, we love it, man. I've been a big soccer guy for forever. But yeah, you know what, Portland, dude, great area. My wife and I did a little vacation there a couple years ago. Went to Multnomah Falls and
Oh yeah,
did some cool stuff, man. Just epic.
it's sweet.
Yeah, not little, but
Austin's like the Portland of Texas.
yeah, they you know, I got so many times they were like, hey, the like keep Austin weird. Like, did y'all start that or did we start that? And I was like, I don't want to pick a fight, but we clearly started it. Y'all jocked us.
Wow, that's cute. That's
yeah.
cute. Portland is the weirdest town in America.
No. Portland is very weird. No, I will tell you that. Like,
weird.
you know, they're like Roger Cunningham.
They've kept it weird.
Yeah. Roger Cunningham has an old like funny joke about Austin. You know, Austin is weird, but it's getting less and less weird. You know, it's getting more metropolitan and
yes.
You know, but it's still,
coming over.
Still very weird. Still an awesome, epic place. It's my favorite city. If we didn't live here, it would still be my favorite city. It's a work hard, play hard. You know, just no shortage of good jobs, awesome, smart people, epic stuff to do, great food. You know, it's
pretty sweet. I was just there in October.
Yeah,
I was just there in October. Yeah, we were we went to the Formula One race.
Oh, nice! You're a Formula man.
Oh yeah, Formula One. Yeah, that's right, baby.
Yeah,
F1 all day. I like Formula One better than soccer, and I love soccer. So like,
wow,
that's it. Yeah,
strong words. Now, are you a guy that like started watching the Netflix show and then you got into it? Or are you pre?
I hate those fucking people, the Drive to Survive fans that think they know everything. No, man, I've been watching Formula One since I can't remember. I mean, it had to have been 2000 at least. It's been 22 years. There was a chunk I missed. Was that?
No, I was gonna say, where are you from originally? I know you're from South America.
Yeah, I'm from Colombia.
Oh, okay. Is there any Colombian drivers?
There was. That's actually how I got into it. So Juan Pablo Montoya was the guy, and he was crushing it in kart series here in the United States. And he was like, his rookie year, he won like the Indy 500, the Daytona, like he won all of the major ones. And so some F1 teams were like, this guy's a stud. So they got him because for people who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, so Formula One is like, you should know by this point because Drive to Survive made it pretty popular. So I definitely would recommend the documentary. But
Formula One, dude, what are you doing with your life?
Listen, get it together. But basically it's rocket ships, or more realistically, actually more legitimately, they're like fighter pilots that go on the ground as cars. Like that's what it is. It is like what NASCAR is to like what seventh grade flag football is to the NFL is what NASCAR is to Formula One, to give people a perspective. It's not like racing in that kind of way. It's not like NASCAR at all. It's like cream. So basically it's the epitome of like engineering. Like there's people that go from NASA to Formula One to create these cars because they're like the most like amazingly designed technological specimen of transportation.
Okay, dude, we get it. You love Formula One. Tell us how you got into this.
Long story short, it's amazing. And it's fucking awesome. I got into Formula One because Juan Pablo Montoya went there, and he was a Colombian. And I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And we went to a race in 2004, but then they go to Austin. They travel all over the world, and we were in Austin. We went to watch these cars, and it was just, it's bananas to see something go fast, dude. It's so crazy.
I ride my bike on the track on Tuesday nights. They have bike night there, so you can ride your road bike out there. It's epic, dude.
That's an uphill turn one.
Turn one is crazy.
Yeah.
Like 10-degree gradient. It's a beast, man. It's so cool. Well, next time you're in Austin, man, hit me up and we'll definitely go get beers. Like Hundo P.
My goal is to go to a race to the Austin race once a year. I actually want to go again this year, so I'll probably be there in October. I'm hoping
I'm
to
down,
go.
dude. I was looking at it. I was honestly looking at it. So we might do it. I mean, October's really tough because it's just so packed, but
yeah, that's why, because South by Southwest is in Austin at that point.
it's
It's like
Austin City Limits is the first 2 weekends
oh,
of
that's
it.
the one.
And then
Yeah.
there's a smaller fest called Utopia Fest. It's on the 15th. We're going to a wedding in Colorado on the 15th. So I think I don't know what day Formula One is, but if you end up coming in
October,
if we're out of town, maybe you can crash our house. So
sure,
we're in Southeast Austin, so we're
you're right by the track.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude,
we're like 10
don't
minutes.
tempt me with a good time.
Yeah, dude, I got you.
With a good time. Because the Sunday tickets, if I go, I'd probably just go to the Sunday race. I went for the whole weekend last time, but just the Sunday race is like $60, $100, and it's so worth it. It's crazy. I'm going. You know what? I'll see you in Austin.
So, like when you're trying to like establish rapport with families, and you're selling books, and you're like, oh, I'm a soccer guy, and they're like, okay. And then you're like, well, I also like Formula One. And they're like, get out of my double wide, drop the Mountain Dew, and get out of my double wide right now. Like, if you are not NASCAR, then you better get out of this house.
That's right. That's actually that's why I never sold 10,000 units. I poured way too much tequila right here.
Yeah, where'd you sell that? Where was your most hillbilly summer?
My most hillbilly summer. Wow.
Because those are the best. Those are the most fun.
Dude, that's the best territory. I mean, yeah, it's probably the best territory overall. Big Brick is pretty awesome if you know how to work it, but my most hillbilly.
That's where it's at, but yeah, that's hard.
Yeah,
that's hard.
Country Brick is bomb. Yeah, that's if people don't know what the hell we're talking about. Big Brick is like rich people.
Brick houses.
But if you get rich, yeah. But if you get rich people in the country, that's pretty. I think
very nice.
Upstate New York.
Really?
I was in like and you know, this is funny because they had said to me, this is the poorest county in New York, and everybody was sold in the poorest county in New York. And like I googled it, like I literally googled average household income in the state of New York, and somebody's got to be right. And my people, they were right. I was like, oh, you guys are really poor.
Wayne Floyd used to show us the like socioeconomic maps. Like when you're in OL, you didn't like look at that data when you were like putting together your territories. Of course you look at that, dude. You put the country kids in the country stuff, and you know, put the rich kids in the rich stuff.
That's how it works. They can relate to their own people.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, upstate New York was by far the best territory I think I ever like sold in. Like that country stuff is so fun. Everybody's chill. They're happy to see a human being because they haven't seen someone in forever. It's pretty good. What about you? Where was your favorite place?
Are you a big music guy?
Yeah, I like music.
Yeah, because when you're in the country, then you get to listen to music. You know, like in between houses. Like, see, I sold back in the days when you had CDs, right? Like I used to set goals, and if I hit my goal, if I hit PC or Chairman's or whatever, I would go to the Best Buy on Sunday and I would buy a new CD. And when you get a CD, when you stop at the house, it pauses at that exact moment, you know. So you don't have to like reset it. Just epic, man. But I like this country because I would just crush through music and get me all fired up, and I was just out, cruising, man.
That's the best. Yeah. Actually, let's jump into your Southwestern stuff. I'll give a quick shout out to some of our friends, and then let's jump into South.
Let's do it.
This is great. I love how the conversation naturally heads that way. Before we get there, some words of advice from Will Metscher, who is hiring with Southwestern Consulting. He's one of their top coaches. If you're looking to coach someone, or if you're just, wanting to learn about the industry maybe you want to do it on your own. We know people that way as well. Number one thing he said to remember as a coach is coaches are still broken. Make sure you're still a student of the game. Ask the question, how can I get better? How can I improve? So just because you're coaching someone doesn't mean it's great advice, right? Mm-hmm. Number two, you don't have to know everything to be a great coach. You have to actually care, ask good questions, and hold people accountable to doing more. Beautiful advice. And then tip number three is your clients do not have to be the most driven. Some people are desperate for work-life balance and want your help with making that work. So it's not all about performance, it's about helping people be happy with what they're doing. If you guys want more details about that, we can put you in touch with Will if you want to learn more about that opportunity. And then last quick thing I want to mention, Excuse me. This kombucha's getting through me. By the way, hum kombucha, highly recommend. Sizzler Shred is happening right now. So if you just got on selling books and you guys are going to go to the Sizzler trip, this is to you. Elevate Wellness is doing their competition, annual competition that they do. Last year they had 55 people, gave away about $4,500 worth of prizes to the top 3 contestants. They donated $1,000 to the service project. They're looking to get twice as many people entered onto the contest over the next 6 weeks, and it's going to be like a habit-based competition as well as some other incentives as well. But definitely would recommend that, so that way they could throw you in. So if you're wanting to kind of get into a competition about how to get into the best shape of your life, let us know. We'll put you in touch with those guys. It's a sweet thing that they're doing, and they want to give more money away in the service project. So that's it for now. All right, yeah, let's jump into Southwestern stuff, my friend.
Bro, look. This is my gold seal gold from my first summer.
I still have that too. Where's mine? I don't know where mine is. I mean,
you still got cornerstone, man. It's the cornerstone.
Man.
Check this out, man. I went into the attic and I found all the old.
No way. The Superstar books.
Yep.
What?
I found all of sales talk or student management leadership. I even found my journals. I journaled my first few summers. I was like flipping through my old journals, man. I'm telling you, dude, it's been a crazy deep dive ever since I booked this.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been really, really great. I reconnected with my to kind of get into it. So my first.
How did you get into it?
Yeah, I got a call, like everybody else does. Old Wade Floyd. Do you know Wade Floyd? Does that name ring a bell at all?
Yeah,
it's Blitz DSM, but like I don't know if he, gets the credit he should.
Listen, I think of all the people that have been suggested that we haven't got on the show yet, he's the one that's been the recommended by far the most. I think recently everyone's been like, you got to get Wade. I mean, we've heard this.
Wade's great, dude.
I mean, a lot of people were like Lee McCroskey, all these people, and then we finally got him. So I think that one of the few people left that like a solid crowd of people have recommended is Wade Floyd. So anyway,
Wade is the, I don't want to call him the counterculture book guy, but he was the guy who like thought slightly different. He's an Eagle Blitz guy, but not like super routed out. And so I got a call, and he was like, hey, you've been recommended for this internship. And I'm like, oh, well, hell yeah. I'm like, must be the shit. And so I go to this info session. Wade, there's like 3 other kids there. Nobody sold books at Texas State. There was like my old OL, Joe Lewis, Derek Matiza, and my pledge brother, Manny Gonzalez, were the history of Texas State booksellers. And so like they didn't have like a big stable of like, these are all like UT kids, they were just like, these are the fucking producers, and they were just like, hey, check out this kid, Dustin Hillis. And, they were pointing to some other kids. So, to kind of back up, like I had crushed it my first semester. I was playing club soccer. I pledged fraternity. Second semester, I just got in trouble a couple times, dude. I got arrested streaking on campus. They almost made me register as a sex offender. Like I'm running from the cops. Like whole big ordeal. Then I got caught smoking weed down at the river. I got arrested twice my second semester freshman year. So I'm like totally broke. And I'm like, I need money big time. Like I got to pay off this lawyer. And so I was already like hook, line, and sinker, dude. I like, all my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, hey, like I'm about to leave. Like I'm going to sell books door to door out in the country. So she's like, what? I'm like, yes, dude, I'm leaving like 2 weeks from now. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Where are you going? No idea.
No, nobody knows. Nobody knows. For people listening, you never know until like 3 days before you go to the actual book field.
She's like, really? Okay, you're an idiot. Maybe we should break up. So, I go and as I had already alluded to, like, I'm chopping up the hill going to what's the War Memorial, and I loved it, dude. I was like super competitive, ready to go. Went to Campbellsville, Kentucky my first summer. So very central Kentucky, a county where there's not even an interstate in it. All the roads are like, throw spaghetti on it, just like, backwoods, dude. And the first weekend we could not find a freaking HQ. So as you do, you go to, what do? You go to if you haven't found
Churches.
an HQ by Sunday, yeah, you go to churches, right? You divide and conquer. We go to church.
Yeah.
We found some, like, I think I went to the Catholic or some spinoff of Catholic. I can't remember. And
They're all spin-off of Classic. They're all
yeah,
spin-off of Classic.
and no offense. And so
Yeah.
we find this family that is like uber Catholic, and they're like, yes, you can come and live in our house. And they're showing us the house, and they're like, we painted the trim red for the blood of Jesus, and we painted the walls white for the flesh of Christ. And we're like, okay, what are we getting ourselves into? And they had like a daughter that was like 16 who was like awkwardly homeschooled. And we're all like in the sunroom sleeping, and we're taking showers, and we see her, like, we'd peep around a corner, and she'd be there, and we'd be like, ah, and she'd be like peeking at us, and we're like, what the hell is going on, dude?
First of all,
yeah.
First of all, the flesh of Christ was brown. Some bullshit. You already know it's gonna be bad when they're like white, like the flesh of Jesus.
That's so funny. I never even thought about that. I never even thought about that.
Fucking house is a red trim.
Jesus's are white. Yes, of course Jesus is white.
And here, listen, and I love Jesus too. I'm a man of faith myself, but I always gotta laugh at our Christian people because it's like, goddamn, why is that? Why is he white as fuck? Like,
no.
That's not what he looked like. What's wrong with you? He was Jesus. He's not Jesus. He's Jesus. Like,
so we stayed like there. And they wanted us to go to like their 5 and 6 a.m. masses. So after the Wednesday, we had to get up and go to like the 5 a.m. mass. And I was like, no way. And I'm telling Manny, and Manny's like, dude, like, I was like, we need to find a new place. Like, stat, I can't do this. So we're out knocking, and we're just trying. And I swear to God, it was like that thing where you're trying to upgrade your HQ. So like if you meet a cool family and you get a sit down, you're like, can we live with you? You know, type thing.
Oh yeah.
And my the other first year, Tony DeGraff. What's up, Tony? Tony like came home one night, and he's like, bro, pack your bags. And we're like, what? He's like, we're getting out of here. I'm like, really? He's like, dude, I freaking, and he went like straight to the territory that you're supposed to save for like Dad's Week or whatever. He went to like the Country Brick, knocked on this big ass house. It was like an early Amazon exec, and they had like 3 boys and like a monster. They had like 4-wheelers, a pool, and they're like, you can have the whole basement, a 2-bedroom kitchen basement, big screen. And they're like, all you got to do is just spend some time with our boys and like, you know, kind of turn them into men on Sundays. And we're like, done. So we stayed with them. We had the ultimate HQ, dude. We had our own fridge. We had like beds. I mean, it was so clutch.
Yeah.
And just I was just like a total bookman the first summer, dude. I didn't know anything about off schedule. I didn't use my AC during the day. You know, AC's for gravy. You know, I just like I didn't spend any money. I freaking, we were eating banquet TV dinners every night. If we finally hit steak, we would maybe, upgrade to like the Hungry Man or something.
Yeah.
But we were just PBJing it, and man, we just crushed it, dude. I mean, like first summer, it was like I was trying to get top 5. I sold like 4,500 units. It was a really solid summer, and I was like, whatever, 15 or 20 or something like that. But I was hooked, man. I came back, I paid off my lawyers and had like 17 grand. I came back to Texas State, and I was like, dude, like what just happened, man? Like,
let's go.
Just crazy. Like I'm in it, dude.
Is it? I haven't talked to someone about this in a while, but I want to ask you because the question just came up, and we know what the fuck we want because it's our podcast.
Yes,
it's your podcast. Chris. No. This is for the alumni. This is saying nothing about me.
All right.
It's we're doing it for the alumni. This is because nobody else is doing this. So we're just first. We got lucky. Dude, that feeling of when you leave delivery week and you're driving, because it's a different feeling than when you leave Nashville, which is, we can also talk about. But the feeling when you leave the book field itself, when you like literally deliver your last book, it's the same day. You caught that last family. You have the books left over that for people who canceled or whatever. You go to the bank, you get your check, and then you go, How do I get to Nashville?
Bro.
Then you start that drive. Holy shit, that feeling.
Best feeling in the world. And probably the first summer. I mean, I had saved, like at that time I was a big Dave Matthews fan. I had saved like this CD.
Yes.
And I had saved my favorite version of Lion Our Graves. And I didn't listen to it like all and I put it on right after I dropped my last books off, dude. And I'm talking like I'm tearing up, dude. I'm freaking like driving down the highway to Kentucky. I'm like, let's fucking go!
You're yelling in your car. Everybody yelled in their car. If you didn't yell in your car, you didn't work hard enough. That's the mark.
Yeah. So
So
yeah, I mean, it was just epic, man. And just had a great experience with checkout and yeah, just loved my first summer selling books, even though it was total hillbilly nation that I was working, man. I mean, I worked everything so super tight that I was just knocking on everything, man. I wasn't like super smart. Obviously, you're a rookie, but yeah, loved it. And then my second summer, I recruited a couple people, went back out and went to. Brought a couple buddies. We went to Columbus, Ohio for our second summer. You ever sold in Ohio?
No, but I drove through Ohio. I have a story about Ohio after my first summer, but that's we can get to it.
I mean, it was solid. I mean, it was good stuff. Columbus is cool. Like everybody's a big Monster Ohio State fans.
Yeah.
Had some
nobody's perfect.
Yeah, hilarious stories from that summer too. We can talk about some stories. I jotted some down that I thought were kind of memorable and funny, but I sold 6 summers, and every summer was really solid. I will say the big turning point for me was my third summer when the Texas State kids got bumped from Joe Louis. We had a little tiny org. We were just like 10 people. Like nobody really knew shit about us. It was us and Texas Tech, I think. And then we got John Wissman. Do you know that name?
No.
He's a Texas kid. So UT at the time, they were number 1, like my first year. They did like $1 million, and they had all these like studs. And top first year, number 2, Jack Clark, and just like top, just killing it. And
Jack Clark the third?
Yeah, Jack Clark the third.
I'm recording with him tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah. So he was a total stud. At this point in time, like 2005, Texas had just won the national championship. They had just beat, Vince Young, that USC dream team.
Yes.
They were number 1 school in the country for Southwestern. They were just like, you know about UT. They had a big squad of just like a stable of studs. And we got one of them, John Wissman, to come and OL the Texas State kids. And dude, he just ran it like freaking football coach, man. And he just like was the guy that I learned pretty much everything from. And so I just really, really took off. And I was like I don't know what they call it, like maybe AOL at the time, assistant org leader, something like that. But dude, we just rocked it in Minnesota our third summer. And he really showed me how to have fun, run epic Sunday meetings, get people really engaged, have awesome, like high energy execs, have really killer PCs, have like really pay your dues on your night calls, and like, don't just go through the motions, but like really like pattern break, what's new, how do we improve type stuff, giving advanced sales type stuff. He just killed it. And so I took everything from John Wissman, and then my fourth summer was my first year running an org, and we just smashed it. Texas State went from like, last place school to top 10. Every one of our first years hit Sizzler. We were just smashing records. I delivered like 7,500 and had a really smashing team, and then we just killed it. And that's probably where we started getting a little bit of slack, because we got slightly off schedule at the end, like Radiohead came to town, and I was like, I'm going to go see Radiohead, but small things there. But we absolutely smashed it. And that's really was the kind of genesis of like Texas State kind of getting into the like couple dozen kids. It was easier to recruit when everybody made Sizzler. We had 4 kids in the top 20 for first years. We just went out and just totally slayed it.
You showed up.
Yeah, we showed up.
So what when you say, I want to pick your brain on this. When you say that John Wissman. When John shows up campus, when you say you ran like a football coach, what do you mean like by that specifically? Like what were things that you remember that
held
like
people like uber accountable? Like if you were late for a Sunday meeting, you would get called out, and he would take you aside and be like, dude, what was going on, man? Like you were 5 minutes late for like, if we're going to be hitting our goals, like we want to be a top school, like everybody needs to be here, bought in. We need to crush it. Like it was just like a football coach accountability, where
right.
as opposed to like kind of nudging you, like, soft selling you, like, what are your goals? Like, think back to your purpose, and, it was more like, dude, no. Like if you need to be here on time. Now you need to be here 10 minutes early to the next Sunday meeting type thing. So I really responded well to that. And I think a lot of the other
Nice.
kids did. And so it was just different than the kind of lackadaisical, like, orgs that I had been in my first 2 years where, execs were just lackluster. Nobody was selling books. So you didn't really do recognition, it was like, you did like the pity recognition where you're like, if you went out there and you sold one move through, put your freaking hands in the air, like nobody wants to be a part of that, dude. You want to be a part of it when you're like rocking and rolling.
Who sold PC?
Multiple kids on PC, chairmans, just rocking it type thing. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, he was a big time influence. Shout out to John Westman. Love him, dude. He lived in Austin for a little bit. He got into like day trading with some other book guys, and I think he's in Houston now with some other book guys. Last I heard, because I went and visited him, he was living in Manhattan. But yeah, total stud, dude. Total stud. Learned a lot from him.
That's cool. Oh, that's your kiddo.
That's my kiddo. That's Sophia.
That's awesome. That's a cool name, Sophia. I love that.
She's probably gonna be a little demon. So come here.
You're good.
This is the little monkey angel.
Hey.
Okay.
That's so fun. She's so cute.
Thank you, man. All right, I'm gonna finish.
Oh man.
Hey,
She's like, no, I want to be on the show.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a good soundbite. It's like, oh, it's okay. You can be on the show sometime.
Yeah.
Later,
No.
20 years from now, we'll do it.
If she wants to sing books, I'll support that.
That's interesting. Let's take this tangent really quick. Parenting. What have you learned, and what some things that you're like, maybe from your. Because here's the thing, we all learn how to be parents, right? In a weird way. That's something you didn't expect to pick up in the book field, but you did. Because you met some families and you're like, I'm never going to be that dad. On the other hand, you were like, I'm going to be that dad. So, what are some things that you've learned, and what's parenting like as a book guy?
I mean, it's hard. I would say props to all the parents out there. Like, parenting and trying to crush it at work is hard, dude. Like, you get done with work, you're trying to like, really stretch yourself, and then you got full-time kid stuff after that till 7 or whatever. So I mean, honestly, it's one of the coolest, most rewarding, awesome things ever. Like you love it. I mean, even though she's like crying in the background, like she's about to flip the script and she'll be like the cutest little like baby angel. So
That's
awesome. It's honestly, I would say the biggest thing that for like parenting is really like, man, hopefully you picked a really good partner, like your wife or your husband. You got to have a good like team, because dude, it's a 2-person job, man. Like, thinking back to any like single moms or single dads out there, like props, because that would be very, very hard. But
wow.
You just go into book mode, dude, and sometimes when you're on the book field and like you get into a rhythm, you feel like you have more energy, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
oh yeah.
And when like you're slouching and you're only working like 25 hours a week, and then you kind of feel like lethargic all the time, it's like when you have to be like working so much, it ends up giving you more energy, I think.
That's a cool take. That's a sweet take, because most people haven't described it like that yet.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That's a good way to look at it. When you're on flow, you can do anything. Including be a great father. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. You go down that route soon?
Yeah. So I just got married in February. We're probably gonna. I mean, I'll do whatever the Lord says to send me. I'll take the plan, the path, right? But if if it was up to me, which it never is,
No,
but
it's not.
it's it's whatever the universe or God or whatever whoever's
Do it,
listening
man.
goes in.
Do it. I
Yeah,
saw.
I'd be awesome. I would love to be a dad. I would
I
love to
watched
be a
the
dad.
Mom podcast with Jessica Roberts.
Yeah.
Love her, dude. Shout out J-Lac. And I know she's got like a handful of kids now.
Yeah.
My
Five, I
sister's
think.
like 5 kids.
4 or 5.
She's 13 months older
Jeez.
than me. But yeah, dude, I mean, definitely do it. It's epic, and it'll step you got to step your game up.
One of my biggest fears is being a bad father. My dad is such a good dad. My dad's cooler than your dad. No, but no, my dad's so cool that like we moved, and so I have a really interesting relationship with my dad because we're immigrants, and we moved from a country because we were getting murdered, and as an immigrant child, I'm not saying that you don't have this pressure. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, like when you witnessed, I was young enough. I was young, but I was old enough to remember that the sacrifices, and then I wrote about it in my book. And so it's like I had an interview with my dad about his experience, right? And I sat there for 50 minutes and just listened to him tell the story from his perspective. And when you have a dad like that, the pressure is so intense because you're like, I hope I don't let you down, right? I hope like that this isn't. Can you hear that, by the way?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. I hope that like when I'm a dad, that like it was worth it to him for his sake, right? And so I'm scared that I'll be a bad dad. That's like my biggest fear. That's like
No,
honestly my biggest fear.
man,
I think I'll be okay, but it's so scary because to live up to that, it's just intense.
bro. I mean, like, think about some of the families you knocked on, right? Like, some people get like super hyper sensitive about being like a parent, and it's just kind of a symptom of the times where you're like, maybe like, I have to do it so perfectly. Dude, think about some of like the single wide janky families. Like, those kids, they live, they go on to do great things. So you're gonna do so much better than probably what you think, dude. And
It's scary.
yeah, if you have a really good partner that like my wife Becca, who actually I'll tell you the story about how we met, because I tried to get her to sell books. She was like, no.
That's awesome.
But she's like the planner. She like does the research. She's like, Nate, we're carving out 3 days for potty trainings. Clear your schedule. Don't book any meetings. We're staying in the house. Like, she's like got everything down. And then I'm the guy who like just make sure that everybody's relaxed and we can do things on the fly when we're traveling and have fun, type thing. But yeah, dude, if you have a really good partner, you're gonna crush it, dude. You're gonna love it. But let me tell the story about how I met Becca.
Yes, let's do that.
So Texas State, I think it was my last summer. It was probably before 2010, going into Iowa, and I'm out, flyering in Texas State, and is that what they call it? I can't remember. Like little cards, like going in.
Yeah. There's a different name I think for it now, but basically it's when you go pass out. For people who don't know, you pass out these name sheets or the little surveying. It's called surveying. So you pass out these surveys at big lecture halls at your university that has 5 questions: name, phone number, email. What are you doing next summer? If an opportunity came along,
You have any
more
interest
money.
in making $8,000 or something?
Yeah. If you had an opportunity to make more money and get more experience, would you want to hear about it? Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
Put your,
Exactly.
and we'll call you. And so they put yes, and you call those names. Yeah. So you surveyed a class.
I was out, I was like really crushing it and surveying classes, and like me and Mike Winans and Shane, and we would call people at night. Anyways, I call, and I kind of get, and she's like, oh, like, yeah, I guess I'll come out to an informational session. And we go to the info session, and I run the info session, and you go and you kind of like take some of the people who have interest in it, and I don't know what that step is called, like kind of PC them to see if they have
close them.
Yeah, try to close them. And I was like, oh, you're from El Paso? I was like, you don't happen to know, it was like one of those. It's like, you don't happen to know Brett Jones, do you? The only kid I knew from El Paso. I'm trying to name drop. And she's like, yeah, it's my roommate. I'm like, really? So long story short, she didn't want to sell books. She's like, absolutely not. But then I called Brett, and I'm like, and he had hired me. I was doing some like side work for Red Bull. I was setting up like South by Southwest stuff, like DJ booths and stuff. and he was working for Red Bull, and so I would like go and like I put my drum kit over at his house, and we're like jamming, and slowly but surely through osmosis we started dating, and then we dated for a while. Now we're married, we've been together 10 years, and now we got a little kid. So
ooh, you bad.
Yeah. She never sold, man. She never sold.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, my wife, maybe we have that in common. My wife is one of those like book women that never sold. You ever meet someone like that where it's like, oh man, if someone had ever, like, the reason she didn't sell is because she went to a small Christian school. It was Bethany. I think it was like 50 or like 500 people total that went to that university. It's like a small Bible college. And so it's like, but if she had gone to like Oregon or OSU or something, I'm sure she would have got recruited. She would have loved it. She would have done great. She's like, it's cool to kind of have a spouse that didn't sell in its own way, because it's like, you can tell them all these stories and they're always like, this is crazy. But
I it's so funny because like we walk the dog every day, and like this morning I call, and I was doing some kind of pre-pod prep, and I'm calling my like funny Texas State guys, Shane Weathers, Mike Winans, Matt Tilley, and I'm like, dude, I'm looking for some funny stories, like remind me, because I just can't remember much. And we literally died laughing, crying this morning, crying on the phone. We ended up Facebooking each other. Shane is like trying to work out. He's like, dude, I can't breathe. My buddy Matt Tilley had to pull over on the side of the road because he was crying. And we're just talking, like laughing so hard about all these Southwestern stories. So
let's jump into some of these. It doesn't have to be your ponytails, because your ponytails, if people don't know, those are always saved for the end, like your best ones. But let's hear some of your funny ones that you
I mean, it's really hard, like, and where I was going with that story is like I was trying to tell my wife on the walk like some of these stories, and she's just like, yeah, like not funny to me. And I'm like, if you sold books, it would be hilarious to you, like, like you just don't get it, okay? So
even that story is relatable, because I'll be like, so I was at this HQ, and they're like, what?
Yeah, no, exactly, dude. And so like when we kind of finished this little group thread, Winans was like, that's one of the most hilarious things about selling books, is that you still, like, if you would have stayed and done summer school, you wouldn't remember, you would have no memorable stories. You really wouldn't have anything. But we had like an onslaught of memories from these few summers that we sold books together. That is just like one of a kind type stuff, man. And and I can't tell a lot of it, but I will say, like, Texas State was known as the we don't take ourselves too seriously type thing. And I had people follow me literally probably every day except for Saturday, because if you were like a negative manager mainly towards the end, and you just wanted to go out and have a day and like have fun, and like just remember that, like, get your goof card back and like go have fun. That was like prime Nate Foss. Like, you would go follow Nate to go and laugh your ass off and mess with people, and and not like in a way that was negative, right? Because like, and I've heard some other people talk about this on the podcast, like, if you start messing too much, or you like, kind of go down the dark path, it doesn't help you, dude. You don't end up selling a lot of books. You got to stay positive, man. So it was always like just funny little nerdy stuff. Like I wrote some stuff down, like, there's only certain spots where you can be funny selling books. What do you think is like the number one spot where you can be really funny?
Trailer parks.
No, like what cycle of the sale?
Oh, the intro.
No, dude, I think approaches.
Oh,
I think approaches. Like, I think approaches are the most awkward, and it's the most funny, and it's when you meet the most ridiculous people, right?
That is such an ego blitz thing to say, but yes, I understand. That's like a Mark Rao thing.
Why?
Because Mark Rao is the king of funniest approaches. But
really? I mean, yeah. I mean, yes and no.
Makes sense. But that makes sense.
I mean, we just tried to do funny ones. Like, we would gibberish people up, like, you do gibberish in the middle of pre-approach. You just, like, someone's following you, and you're like, I mean, I was just down at the Johnsons, and they had the 2 kids, and if I'm going over to the Andersons, is he the one with the SCADA kids on the SCADA days, or is his kid going into like 12th grade? Maybe, stupid stuff like that. and they'd be like, what? And just adding little gibberish
that's epic. Yes.
into approaches. Or we would do, when we were out in the country, we would do the gay approach. So we would always be like, like when we were getting pre-approach, we'd be like, so like, is the family down at the end of the street, do they have like high school kids? Or are they more like younger
They
kids?
got all flamboyant.
Yeah, like just now
Yeah.
their high school kid, is he like a strong, like senior boy, like muscular kid? Or they're just like, what in tarnation?
Yeah,
just
like
like
people like that. So.
It's funny. My first summer selling books in Kentucky, my student manager, Manny Gonzalez, came back and he told me a hilarious story where this guy goes, oh, you don't want to, he's getting pre-approached. It's like, you don't want to go down there. They're a couple gay guys. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, do they have kids? And he's like, nah. He's like, hey, let me ask you, you know how they have sex? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, really? He goes, up until about 6 months ago, I thought they were just bumping dickheads.
No way.
So like people out in the country have literally never met
no clue
a gay person in their entire life, and this was like 2005, right?
Yeah, back when like it was, and that's an important context to fill in here for people who might be listening, be like, oh, it's like, listen, you're in the book field in the middle of the boonies. There are some people who have not seen some things. I'm not saying that that's an excuse or whatever, but like you just got to take it for face value because it's like they've never seen.
It's funny to exploit the fact that they have never talked to
the ignorance,
just seeing their face. Like if you have any non-country hillbilly, it's just like, it's funny. It was.
It's funny to mess. It's funny to mess with like a hillbilly.
Yeah,
it's just like what the ignorance that as a brown man. Oh yeah, you do this. You do the Spanish approach. Hola, yo soy el bookman. Like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Manny Gonzalez was, and I saw this firsthand. Where if you're knocking out in the country, it's going to be harder. I think about this all the time. Like, if you're a person of color, if you're just anything, it's going to be harder to get indoors, like especially out in the country, and maybe not in today's, maybe not as much, but probably still so, right? But definitely in 2005, 2006 type area, this is like, George W. U.S., like, think back that, 7 years ago type thing. Yeah. I mean, it was a much different time.
Also, and for context and for people who don't understand, like you're going through a hard day. And so any way that you can find to throw the homeowner off balance to kind of get yourself even like a shot of just having some sort of entertainment that isn't going to be like detrimental to them, right? Because you're visiting someone's home, so you got to be respectful to them. So by doing something like that, it creates this like atmosphere for yourself to not take yourself too seriously, because you need that. Sometimes some people, you get so tense in this job, and it's like important to. I would fuck around with people as a brown man. Like you got to do you do the flamboyant approaches. You would do like the I'm a mute approaches. You would do, because you got to get something to kind of shake off that last house that just blew you off, shake off the tense moments.
This is typically 3:00 in the afternoon. You're already you're hitting your lull. You're tired as hell. You haven't talked to anybody.
It's hot as shit.
Sitting on zero, and you got someone following you, and you just have to just be like, okay, we still got gravy. Like, let's have fun. We're still just rocking and rolling. We're not going to take ourselves too seriously. Let's go and have fun. Let's maybe throw a cat on the roof.
And then Bill comes to the door and says, "What you doing?" And you're like, this is the guy. I'm gonna mess with this guy. I gotta fuck around with this guy.
The best. We would be like, they're like, what? He's like, what the hell are you doing? And you're just like, oh, well, we're with, we're actually out here scouting for America's Next Top Dancer. And our producer wanted us to come out to Central Kentucky, and we're looking for any farmer in the area who is really good at interpretive dance or disco, and then, you just like get into it and just look at like some farmer's face on like a dairy farm, be like, what the hell are you talking about? And then just get pre-approach and be like, do you know anybody in the area, maybe 65, 70 or older, that has any experience in jazz, tap, ballet? And they're like, bro, this is Campbellsville, Kentucky, man. I don't know what to tell you. Nobody dances around here. Like, I swear there's going to be people in this area who are good dancers. That type of stuff. Just kind of hard.
Yes. Oh, man. Mark Rao had the one where he was like, where people would have like the deer, like the plastic deer. and he would like knock on the door and be like, and the mom or whatever, they would come to the door and be like, "Hello, can I help you?" And he's like, "Shh, dear, honey, that's not real." Oh, sorry. Okay. Hey, I'm Mark, and he would just go through his approach. That's how he would open.
Did you ever do like the fake cry for anybody who was like a total asshole?
No, what?
Oh man, like if somebody was like, "Get the hell off my lawn," just be like, "I freaking knew it. My dad told me I wasn't gonna make any money. I'm out here in the freaking middle of Kentucky. I haven't made any money. I'm out here selling books door to door. I'm $10,000 in debt. These people lied to me," and just like do this like fake cry forever. And they're like, "Listen, man, like, hey, it's okay. Like, take it easy." So
Yes,
we did a lot of
this is
fake
epic.
crying. And then in the intro you can add little kind of like cheesy things, but also like deliveries. We were pretty, I don't know about y'all, and when you have a family that you're like, I wonder if they're gonna pay this other half type thing, or you're like worried about them not coming through. You like put your butt on the door and you kind of like hide from the people, and then like as soon as they open, you're just in like, I got your books, and you're just like ripping cellophane open. Did y'all do that?
Yes, you have to, because you get so scared. You're like,
I promised. What are we gonna do? Like, so just funny stuff. But I mean, long story short, it was just about trying to have fun and like jam music. And sometimes we just pull up to like a grandma house that was like clearly a grandma, like grandma balls, and and then just like pull up and put on some like crazy music, like the presets or like Ghostland Observatory, and then just get out and just weird dance, like, and then just get back in the car and leave, and just like no approach. And they would just be like, "What the hell? Like what?" And we would just go to the next house. And
that's so good.
But when
that's great.
I mean, just like, and that's probably why I never sell 10,000 units, because I was too busy doing stuff like that every now and then. But hey, we still sold a lot of books, and every once in a while, at the end of the day, if you want people to come back and you want them to have a positive experience with Southwestern, like you gotta have fun, especially like the Texas Staters, man. These are not like, your UT or A&M type kids, kind of, they're a little bit off kilter. We had to have fun to keep them coming back. And they did. They, like, our team always came back. Everybody sold 3, 4, 5 summers. So probably because we were, having fun selling books.
Yeah, that's the best part of the experience, is those crazy moments like that where you're just like, not just having fun. I mean, having fun for sure, like the fun ones, right? I had my fourth summer, I had a first year where I was like, all right, he didn't speak any Spanish. I was like, hey, you know the sales talk. I know the sales talk. I'm going to do it in English and then translate for you. So like, what part I'm at. So when I say it in Spanish, you'll know, like, you're with us, but you're not going to speak a word of English, and you're just gonna, and he goes, all right, so we get a sit down. I'm like, all right. So I was like, you start with like, well, like I said, I'm a college kid from Nebraska, and been out here for 6 weeks now, and it's been great. I love it, but anyway, so you start doing the report, and then you go, and I went to Tanner. His name is fucking Tanner. His name is Tanner. How the hell is Tanner speaking Spanish? But I'm like, entonces, and so whatever the mom would say, however she would reply, I would just translate, quote unquote, to him, and then he would just like say the best Spanish words he knew. He'd be like, "El carro alguna vez," and he would just bullshit.
We did the same thing, but Russian. We'd be like, this is like, my name's Nate. I'm from Texas State. This is my buddy for the day, Scott Young. He's from University of St. Petersburg in Russia. Doesn't speak a word of English. And then he would just be like, "Я не понимаю," and I'd be like, "Dano, and they're
just Russian, some fake Russian.
Yeah, especially if you had somebody who was following you who like wouldn't shut up like during demos. You ever have those people that like always wanted to interject, and they wanted to like add little parts in and like, "Oh, in the math section, and you're like, bro, like." That's when you start telling them, the next few houses, you start telling them that he's from Russia and he doesn't speak any English, just to make sure.
My
But
brother and I did the Mark Rao. We got this from Mark Rao, but we actually did it where we approached and we said he was a mute. And so, because we were following each other and he was in his third, somebody was in my fourth or whatever, third and second or something like that. And I was just like, hey, let's just fuck around with some people because we were having a tough day. And I was like, let's just have fun. He's like, all right. So knocking on the door, lady comes to the door. I'm like, hi, my name's Andres. This is my brother Danny. He's a mute. And yeah, he doesn't speak English. He can't talk, but he's the one that's been talking to all the families here, showing the educational systems. You probably heard of him, yeah. And so she'd be like, "Oh, we're not interested." I'm like, "Ma'am, he's mute. He's not deaf. He can hear you just fine." Like, what? She's like, "Well, I don't think that we're gonna be interested." Oh well, yeah. And I just cover, and he like fake sign some shit.
you know, it's like when you start getting to the point where when people are like, we're not interested, and you're like, oh, you know what, I think you're plenty interesting, don't be so hard on yourself. Like that little area, I found myself getting more kind of like negged out because I felt like I was getting defensive with people, and it wasn't like stuff was just rolling off my back and I'm out there rocking, and it's like no means next, and like I'm already sitting on stakes, so this really doesn't matter type thing.
Yep.
And so like, you know, I think, yeah, it's all fun, but you gotta get you have to be in that mindset where you're on and you're rocking and you're just like you're not wasting time, you're not wasting a breath,
Right.
you're just rocking and rolling, but still having fun. It's a delicate balance to do that, really.
Right.
But super fun. I mean, we had, you know,
So good.
so many crazy stories. I mean, one time, I mean, I know we have like a couple minutes left, but you know, I'll tell you my like kind of heartwarming pony story, which was my very first summer. And this is funny because I was you know, I had kind of remembered it, but then I went back and I was reading my journal from my first summer. My mom had given me this book that was like your success journal, and you need to write your successes throughout the summer. So I would just write, you know, like not every day, but you know, a couple times a week type thing. And I went back and I read this thing. It was Dad's Week, and I like desperately wanted to hit Dad's Week. And I was sitting on, you know, whatever it was, like, you know, 400 units or something on Saturday night. All I needed was like 430 or something like this. And I'm out of gravy. I'm out of, yeah, I guess like gravy, like callbacks. And I'm just like, damn, I can't go home, man. It's Saturday night. Saturday night, every night we would go meet at this Mexican restaurant. Every summer I did this. We'd go meet at a Mexican restaurant. We'd split a bucket of beers. Like each person had like 1 or 2 beers. And I was like, I can't go home without hitting this. So I freaking see a family with lights on in this country neighborhood. And I like pull up and I'm like, action cures fear, dude. Just go. And it was like,
let's go.
And I'm like, just go, dude. And I go in and they're like partying, and it's like a party. And it was like 2 families, and they were like sisters. And the dads are out back and they're grilling and chilling and drinking. And they're like, who the hell is this fucker? And I'm like, just, you know, Nate the Book Guy, you know, just like here. And I'm like trying to get the kids in here to demo them. And freaking finally get like the 4th grader or whatever who's like prime, you know. And I can't remember if it was he or she, but they're like, love it. Like, this is exactly, you know, this is exactly the fractions we were stuck on. And the mom's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and get these. And then swear, like, is one of those like pony stories where like the sister comes in and she's like, come here, go get Ashley. And they're like, she comes in and then they're like, all right, we'll take them too. So then they buy the handbooks.
Let's go.
I'm like, you know, I was like, we also have these, like, there used to be like a set of 7 where they had like science projects and stuff in them. And I was like, you know, a lot of people just like adding these on too, because during the summer you can do all these science projects, and they're like, toss them on.
Oh, man.
So I hit like 60 units at like 10:45 or whatever. And the feeling I got back into my car when I hit Dad's on Saturday night that late, and I was like, let's go. It was like my one moment where I was just like, yes, I'm going to get to tell my story about how my dad motivated me. I hit this late night. What a cool story. I'm cruising back, you know, God, I think, yeah, I did. I probably had like a freaking Nokia, like snake phone, and go meet up with the boys at the Mexican food restaurant, and just like, man, just total elation, you know, just hitting Dad's Week Saturday night in that fashion when you could have called it and you're like, dude, let's just go. let's get this, man. And then it turns out to be like one of the coolest families, and they like give you a burger and they buy books and then bring the sister in there and they have books, and you're just like, what? So, and I think Dad's Week was, it's always like week 7 or 8 or something like that. And, just, from that point on, it was just rocking and rolling the rest of the summer. But that was probably my favorite pony story of all time. Just because it was so memorable and it was just so fresh. It was like my first summer, so imprinted me.
That's epic. You know what? That's a great ponytail. That is a great ponytail. That's like a classic Bill Zizzy ponytail with like the
dude, exactly. And I used to crush all those advanced sales ones, and it was very Bill Zizzy, right? Where he was like, I don't know if it was Bill Zizzy or Roger Smith or one of those. That it was that kind of exact story. It was like, well, if your sister's gonna get one, why don't you get one too? Type thing, Yeah. But
you're not gonna let your sister out, do you?
Exactly. It wasn't like that. I was never like a challenger sales guy, especially when I was like 18, and I was more just like the okie dokie. Can I get your okie dokie right here? This like tall, lanky, just goofy kid. But yeah, that was one of my all-time favorites.
That is epic.
My favorite, like, kind of like drinking, or like your more saucy, in y'all's language, stories, was that same summer. It was a couple weeks later, and it was the first time I smoked on the book field. And I like, you go to Texas State, it's a bunch of kids. I had just been arrested for weed earlier in the year, smoking down by the river. And this is back in the day when, like, weed was like, now it's like weed and everybody's microdosing and it's all legal. But like in 2005, it was like, you're going to jail and you're going to die in jail. And like, God bless your soul, because you're going to burn forever in eternal hell, for taking a
lettuce.
Yeah. Oh. So like, I'm in like this kind of country neighborhood, and it was like one of my last, it really wasn't super late. I probably could have kept crushing it. It was like 8:30 or something like that. And this grandma who was like fostering the kids, she's like, do you smoke? And I was like, yeah, I smoke. And she like rolled up a big fat joint, and then she's telling me about how Kentucky, how they have to pull up all their. Sorry, I got Sophia crying.
Oh, you're good, dude.
She's like, we grow all this weed in Kentucky, and she said we have to pull it up after squirrel season. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, cops come around. They got infrared cameras on helicopters, and the only 2 plants that give off infrared is tomatoes and weeds. So when squirrel season's over and you pull up all your tomato plants, that's when you got to pull up all your weed. I don't know if she was just talking out of the side of her mouth, but I'm just like going along with it because I'm like, I'm about to smoke a joint with her. And like, I'm already had a really good summer, and I've been kind of craving this forever. And when you don't smoke for like 2 months or whatever, you just get like super uber high. So dude, I get like super blazed Blitz. And I'm driving home, man, and I'm just like, whoa, I'm out in the country. I'm just like jamming Dave Matthews. I'm like, where the hell am I? So I had, for some reason, Big Eyed Fish, dude, that album. I'm just like,
what a song. What an album.
And I'm just like, woo! I'm just like video gaming it. And I, for some reason, I freaking must have put all my checks for the week. This is Saturday night. And not in my zipper bag, but I put them in like my Rand McNally map. I don't know if y'all know what that is. Like, like it's like a big map.
Way before iPads. Yeah.
And I get back, and then I'm like doing we go out to dinner and we're eating, and I'm like super stoned. Tony and Manny are like, are you high? I'm like, I'm freaking stoned to the bone. This grandma just smoked me out. Like, it's the best. and they're like, damn. And they're all jealous. And then the next day, I can't find my checks for the whole week. And I'm like, fudge. And I'm like looking through, I'm like, what? So I panic, dude. And I have like, whatever, a couple $1,000 in checks, like 45 customers. And I'm like, no. I was like, I must have got stoned and left him out there. So like, I get up super early before the Sunday meeting, and I drive back to that neighborhood, and I'm like looking around, looking for these checks like on the ground and stuff. And I start calling my customers on like Sunday morning, trying to get them to like cancel checks and reissue checks. And then on the Sunday meeting drive, I find them in my Rand McNally, and I'm just like, oh my God. But just a classic, dumb kid running his own business, classic book story,
We've been needing a good weed story.
Yeah.
We've been
So
needing a good weed story.
I don't know if you know, towards the end, I would have like buddies like send me right at the end of the summer, I'd have them like, send me some stuff in the mail and just like put it in a, regular stuff. And you always like catch that end of summer concert is what I'd always do coming back. Like right after delivery week, I would take like my top first year. I'd say, hey, I bought us tickets to this show. Right after we get done selling, we're going to go to a concert. I took some buddies to go see 311. Modest Yahoo opened up for 311 in Minnesota my third summer. Like the Saturday that we ended, we like deliveries done, go to that. Took some buddies to go see Fish. One time we went to like Lollapalooza in Indiana. We went and saw Radiohead. But it was like our end of summer treat. And I was like, if we keep working and you don't have to hit I want to win, but you just got to stay on schedule. And just like every day, you can't have a 0 day, like no 0 days. And then we'll go to this show and I'll get us badass tickets. And that was kind of like our way to like keep the people who were kind of already like checked out, some people are already like, dude, I just can't work anymore. And I'm like,
it's over. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? Like, instead of you going to Barnes and Nobles and just chilling for, a few hours, like just go knock on some doors, drop one handbook set, get 20, 30 units, go back to gravy. Just if you have no 0 days at the end of the summer, we'll go rock this show. Something like that. Cause you gotta motivate people different ways. Some people are already checked out. Like you're not going to be like,
and it's okay.
Purpose.
Yeah, it's all good. Some people need to just be okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said we had a couple hours, so we're probably closing to when you have to jet here soon. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a quick couple shout outs, and then I'm going to ask you a set of Blitz questions, and then we'll close it out. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. A couple more shout outs. Wanted to give a shout out to Pat Roach, who gave us some advice about what makes a successful realtor, is what he was asked. And that can mean a few things. Someone can build a successful brokerage, or you can be a standout agent. Building out your network is the most important thing for you. So either way, if you're in real estate, if you want to be in real estate, build on a network. The most important thing for the client is your professionalism and operating in integrity and reliability, which of course, that Pat Roach and his company for sure does. So if you guys are looking for something to do that's a little different anywhere in the country, for sure, reach out to us. Southwestern Real Estate is probably going to be willing to at least talk to you, interview you if you sold books at least one full summer. That's important to keep in mind. Again, big shout out to Cardinal Senior Benefits. They're doing a fantastic job. Greta Huerta gave us the idea of investing. She is recommending that you guys put away some money, get some 26 to 12 months of income saved in your emergency fund. That's her biggest tip of the week. Big shout out to EnLight.Energy. There are fans over at, they do solar in particularly Florida, but really in anywhere in the country. So if you guys are looking to get into that industry, maybe save the planet a little bit and help people save some money on energy costs. That's a booming industry right now. It's huge to get into that, especially if you're in Texas, Florida, Arizona, sunny places. Huge right now. Yeah. By the way, solar is huge. If you need solar, let us know, Nate. We'll get you hooked up. And then, okay, so now Blitz questions, and then we'll wrap this one up. Couple of things I had a question for you. One, favorite state to sell in?
I would say Minnesota was probably the easiest. My favorite summer was Indiana, though. Minnesota had plat books and money, but I would say Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. In your opinion, favorite get back of the year?
Non-Sizzler?
I guess Sizzler's like its own thing.
I would say OL Weekend was always the best for Eagle Blitz. OL Weekend was like the first kind of but I mean they're all great, dude. I mean I love book people. I think anytime I guess which one's the GRS is like early January where you go back to Nashville.
Yeah.
That's probably the
GRS
best.
is like
the biggest, and you get people from other orgs, all the like names that you hear and see in Pacesetter, but you don't get to meet them in your Border Wars or anything like that. I always thought that was a lot of fun.
That's right. GRS is pretty sweet. Okay. Favorite advanced sales tape?
Oh shit.
This is the last question. And why isn't it Bill Zizzy and Dave Rosen?
Dude, I love that Bill Zizzy. Did you interview? Was it Dave Rosen? Was he on here? Is he doing?
We had Rosen on the show.
Yeah. I like that one, dude. Yeah, total stud. I mean, I wore all those tapes out. I listen to tons of advanced sales, and you know what? And listening to this podcast, Ponytails, kind of gives me a little bit of that feeling where you get motivated. It's good to hang out with other like super motivated book people, dude. So I love book people. I got some shout outs that I wanted to hit really quickly.
Yeah.
So
go for it.
Manny G, my SME, Wade Floyd, Derek Matiza, Tony DeGraff, Matt Tilley, Scott Young, Mike Winans, Talia Bioni, Shane Weathers, Eric Stoveblow, what's up? Kyle Tilley, Lance Marshall, Jack Zimmerman, Danny K, Malia. I love book girls. They're just like one of a kind. Malia, Lucy Morton Hicks, Amy LaValle, Aaron Yonke, some of my favorites, Leslie Saunier, and then Dichter, Andres Rincon, some of the Texas, Jimmy Powers, dude. After my first summer, I went to
Jimmy Powers.
Yeah, Jimmy Powers. So I went and right after I went to Fish, where I met my soon-to-be boss, I went down from Charleston and I drove and stayed with him in Tallahassee, him and Aaron Yonke. He took me out and we went like swimming out to these little like aquifers and little springs and jumped off this tree. And like, it was great, man. We were doing some hillbilly stuff. We went raccooning, like coon hunting with his coon dogs. It was all super hillbilly. Tons of fun. Love Jimmy Powders. Big fish guy too. We've seen a lot of fish shows together. Jeff Armstrong, Quintin, Cue Ball. Go work for Cue Ball and Pedro Vega, those guys. Those are some studs. I would work with them. And then John Wisman. So some different Eagle Blitz people that just over the years meant a lot to me in Southwestern, and shout out to them.
Hell yes, sir. And J-Lac, because she's
J-Lac, yes, J-Lac, dude, what a beast. J-Lac, never beat J-Lac, man. You know what? I think she was number. I'm trying to think if she was number 1 or number 2 our very first summer. Let's see.
You have the Superstar book right there. You can tell.
Let's see. Education. She was number 3.
There she is.
J-Lac.
There she is. Hold on, let me make you the main screen. Hold on.
Look at that. She's crushing it. So
yeah. Who was number 1 that summer?
Huh?
Who was number 1 that summer?
Leslie Saunier, University of Texas girl. Awesome girl.
She's gonna be on the show.
Oh,
she's
no
gonna
way.
Be on the show. Yeah.
Really good friend. So this is what young Nate Foss looked like when he was 18. Look at that hillbilly, diamond earrings. My boss, Wade Floyd, my boss was like, you should take those off. You need to take those out. I'm like, all right. Thank you so much, Andres, man. Dude, super, super fun, man. This was a blast from the past, man. I love any book guys that want to shout out for me, feel free to reach out, dude. I'm always happy to chat. If you're in Austin, Texas, hit me up, dude. Let's go get a beer. Love book people, man. So just the best. I just have nothing but love for Southwestern.
Hell yeah, man. Well, hey, we'll wrap this one up. My name is Andres Gamboa. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We'll be back on the air next time. We're on usually Thursdays and Sundays. Come catch our shows. They're premiering on YouTube, and then they're out on the next day on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you are listening to us in any of those platforms, please make sure you subscribe, give us a rating, give us a follow. That means a lot to us. Go to our website, theponytailspodcast.com. You can check out our merch. Sign up for our newsletter, get all the information that you need about our show there. If you want to be a fan, if you want to be a guest, if you want to be a sponsor, either way, reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much, guys. Catch you on the next one. Bye.